In this session, we will try to understand different data types in Python. So first of all, what is a data type? Data type represents the type of data type represents the type of data what we are storing in a variable, type of data stored in a variable. So let me explain this with an example. If a is equals to 10, so here you all know a is a variable and we are storing a value 10. So what is this 10 type? Okay, is it an integer type? Is it a string type? It is a float type. So understanding about the type of data is nothing but called data type. So in Python, there are multiple data types we have. Let us try to understand each of them. So data types are classified into two types in Python. Okay, so what are those two types we will try to see. So let me give first classification. So in the first classification, again we have two types of data, two data types we have. So first one is fundamental data types and second one is collection data types. Okay, so what do you mean by fundamental data types and what do you mean by collection data types? We'll try to understand. So before that, which are all comes under fundamental data types and which are all comes under collection data types? Let me give collection data types. Okay, so the other names for these two are fundamental data types are or basic data types in Python you may call, and this is collection types or advanced data types we may call. Okay, so let me first give me the list of data types what all comes under fundamental. So fundamental, this int is fundamental type, float is fundamental data type, complex is fundamental data type, bool comes under fundamental, and string, so people call str, so its meaning is string. Okay, so these are all comes under fundamental data types. And let me give collection data types. List comes under collection type, tuple comes under collection type. Okay, set comes under collection type, and dict also comes under collection type. So these are all the different data types what we have in Python as part of our first classification study. Okay, so what do you mean by integer data type? So int comes up with we can store any kind of integer values. Okay, so int, it represents integers. So when I say integers, it can be either positive or negative numbers. Okay, the rule is like, you should not have fractional part. Okay, so let me make you understand with an example. Okay, a equals to 100, so this is pure example of integer type. B equals to minus 787, so this kind of examples comes under integer type. So next to integer what we have is float. So float, here we store numbers with a decimal part. Okay, here we store numbers with decimal part or fractional part. fractional part. So example, let me say x equals to 12.56. So this is nothing but called a floating point, float example. And let me show another example, 79.12. So 13, whatever, 14. So this kind of examples are called float examples, float data types. So let me go ahead and show these things in program first, and then we'll continue our data types learning. So let me open idle. I just typed in the search ideally, so automatically you can see my Python shell is getting open, and go to file, new file. So let me save our program, save as. Let me move to Python lab. So data type 1 is what my program name. So I don't have to give .py, as I have already mentioned in previous sessions. By default, .py will be taken by your idle window. So we can straight away start writing our program. So this is example of fundamental data types. Okay, so a equals to 10, print a. Fine. So I'm telling 10 is an integer, but how come we will be knowing that 10 is exactly integer type? So to check the type of a variable, what type of data of a variable, we have a function called type. So type of a. So you give type function, and in the function parameter you just provide variable name a. So automatically it will bring in what type of variable a is. So control S and run module. So you can see value of a is 10, so that is of class int. Okay, so by default every data type in Python is a class. Okay, it is an object type, so ultimately it is class. So you will understand this what exactly a class and all in subsequent sessions. So let me proceed with another example. B equals to minus 89. So print B and print type of B. Let me save this. I have clicked Control S and run module. So you see minus 89 is also a integer data type. Fine. Okay. So let me continue with my program. So this is an example of integer code. Okay, now let me write float code. So x equals to, as I have told, it is fractional part, we should give 12.56, print x and print type of x. Control S. So run module. F5 I can give shortcut, but that's okay. So I am directly clicking on run module. So 12.56 value displayed, and it is float type. So that is what 12 point, any fractional part is represented as float type. Y equals to 80 87 dot 023 034, whatever. Print y comma type of y. Okay, in one line I am printing both variable and its type. So it printed value and its type also displayed, class float. So let me continue my explanation here of fundamental types. So we have seen integer and float, and the question here is how much of memory space is getting allocated for integer. You may be having this kind of doubt. So integer, in the C language, integer is going to take two bytes, and in Java language integer is going to take 4 bytes, and Python is how much? So you don't have to compare Python language which is with C and Java kind of languages. Their integer and floating points are not objects, but in Python all the data types are objects. Okay, so when there are objects, there is no fixed amount of memory allocated for data types. So you these are objects, so you can have dynamically how much amount of space you want, you can able to leverage through Python variables. So what I mean to tell you is you don't have to restrict to two bytes or 4 bytes as such. So there isn't any fixed memory allocation for data types in Python, as these are objects. Fine. So if somebody asks how much amount of memory an integer will occupy in Python, this kind of questions maybe people will be asking, but your answer must be in Python data types are objects, so there isn't any fixed memory location is what you have to answer. Okay, so let me proceed with complex. So what is complex? Complex is a complex number is a number that is written in a plus bj format. uh, it is a number that is written in a plus bj format. So it contains a numerical part and imaginary part. So let me show with an example. Let's say a equals to 3 plus 4j. So in this case 3 is a real part and 4j is imaginary part. Why? The reason we are saying it imaginary means we don't know the value of j. As long as we don't know the value of j, so a is complex for us. So let me go ahead and show here. Complex. A equals to 3 plus 4j. Print a and print type of a. Control S F5. Okay, 3 plus 4j value a displayed and it is class complex type. So you may be thinking uh, why I have again utilizing the variable a. Here a variable value is 10, and at a stage here again we have changed the value of a from 10 to 3 plus 4j. So now a value will be 3 plus 4j and its a type is complex. So likewise you can able to modify your variable values. Your interpreter will adjust dynamically based on the value. It will allocate the type, it will assign the type. So, and one more thing, I might have did not conveyed in the initial minutes of this video. Basically data types in Python, you don't have to uh, provision, you don't have to provide data types in prior while creating a variable. It means usually in other programming languages likewise you will put int a equals to 10. So but in Python you don't assign any data type for variables. So it is called dynamic memory allocation. So dynamic memory allocation, so this is very important point. Python follows dynamic memory allocation concept for variables. Okay, so what do you mean by that? So here when you gave a equal to 10, based on the 10 data, 10 value, your Python interpreter decided that let me make a as like integer type. And now after a while you made value of a variable to 3 plus 4j. So dynamically you change it. So Python interpreter also will change type of the variable a from integer to complex type. That is what had happened. Control S F5. Let me click and we show. So when you printed first a10, it is showing class int, and after some time when we have taken a equals to 3 plus 4j, so it dynamically tuned from int to complex type. So that is what it is called, dynamic typing. So dynamic typing is very advantages concept in programming that we will understand slowly. So let me move to bool type. Okay, so let me write here bool. So what is this bool type? Bool is like nothing but is one of the data type. It will provide, it represents Boolean values. So bool represents Boolean values. There are only two Boolean values we have. We have only two Boolean values. They are true and false. So these are the only two values comes under Boolean type. So basically, we use this Boolean data type for conditional statements. If the condition is correct, then we use true. If the condition is wrong, then we say false. So let me show example of this. So A is equals to true and B is equals to false. Okay, so these are the only two values usually you see, but we generally don't assign like this and check. We use this for another purpose that you will understand when we go for control statement, but that's okay. So A equals to true, B equals to false, print A, print type of A, print B, print type of B, control S, run, run module. You can see true is class bool type, false is class bool type, right? So bool has got only these two values, that is true and false. Let me proceed with string str type. Str, it represents string type. A string is nothing but group of characters. Fine, let me show with an example. S equals to Python. So this is a string. Let me say again x equals to 100. Okay, so this is not a string. This is not a string. What is this? This is integer, right? So if I write same x equals to 100 in double quotes, this will become, this is string now, this is string now. So anything you represent in double quotes that comes under a string. Basically we use string, I mean for the textual data we represent as a string. So let me do in program and show. X equals to Python string, s equals to Python print s and print type of s, control s, F5. So you can see Python I have displayed and its type is class str. So this is what a string type is. If you want, you can also create with single quotes machine learning print s1, print type of s1. So this also represented as string only. Machine learning is a text that is a string format. We can represent strings in single quotes and double quotes. We'll get to know the exact difference between the single quotes and double quotes when we study input and output statements and string formatting concepts. Okay, so with this we have seen all basic types. Let me go back and show once again. I have shown integer type, example is 2. I have shown float type, example is 2.2423, something like this. So complex type, example is 3 plus 4j, and bool type is, example is 2 true, and string type example is Python, right? Okay, so let us proceed with our understanding of advanced data types, so called collections. So in collections, the very first one is list. So what is list? So now we are trying to explore collections. So in that, the very first one is a list. So list is like an array. If you know array, it will be very easy for you to understand list. List works like an array. List works like an array. But the difference is, but we store heterogeneous elements here. So heterogeneous are different elements. In simple terms, if I have to call different elements. So usually array means it's a collection of similar elements, and list means collection of not only similar elements, we can also collect different elements. So example, let me take lst as a variable. And okay, so another point I have to convey here. So list, we represent a list using square brackets. So this is how we represent list. Let me give an example. Lst is equals to 10 comma 14.5 comma python comma 3 plus 5j comma true. So if you see, I have taken a list with heterogeneous elements. When I say heterogeneous elements, each element inside a list is of with different type. I have taken, starting from, if you see, I have taken integer type, I have taken float type, I have taken string type, I have taken complex type, and then I have taken bool type. So this is what it is called a list. A list is a collection of heterogeneous elements. So let me show with an example. Control N, Control S. So let me give data type 2.py automatically comes and add. So collection types as an example, lst is equals to 10 comma 12 14.5. So python 4 plus 5j comma true. So this is a proper list. Lst is a variable name, and print type of lst gives its data type. Control S F5. You can see in the output, like, it has displayed entire list as well as its a type class list. So this class is just to understand what are all different data types we have. So that is the reason I am not going into the depth of list concept, but actually we will understand list concept in very deep in collection concepts. So there is a separate unit we study under collection concept. So there you will get to know many properties of list. Okay, so let me proceed with another data type under collection types. What is that? Tuple. So tuple is also works like list, but only difference is we cannot modify tuple values. So if I have to give a point about tuple tuple works as same as list, but we cannot modify tuple. So with this, you must have understood one point about list. List values we can modify, whereas tuple values we cannot modify. So tuple using parenthesis. Okay, so like this normal parenthesis. Okay, so example, let me show here. Take a parenthesis, and you can provide more or like same kind of values as it is heterogeneous. AI So 8 plus 6j and false. Okay, so what I have done is I have taken all uh, heterogeneous values, and tuple is the TPL is a variable name. So let me quickly move here and do our program. TPL is equals to 12 comma 15.6 comma, I'm just taking some string, and 3 plus 8j, some values I am taking just like that, and false I am taking this time instead of true. Print TPL, print type of TPL. So control S and run module. Oh, sorry. If you see, what I have done is I have started off with a parenthesis, but I tried closing with square braces. That's the reason it is prompting error. So my typo error. Now this is a proper tuple. Control S, F5 I clicked. Now it is showing up my tuple data type. Okay, so this is tuple got displayed, and its class tuple, its type, it is showing up, right? Let me proceed with third data type, that is a set. So set under collections we are studying. So what does set mean? A set represents again group of element. A set represents group of elements. So set behavior is like, set stores elements in unordered manner. Set stores elements in unordered manner, right? And set, we represent set using flower braces, flower brackets. Okay, so like this we represent set with the flower brackets. Let me give a small example of set. S1 is equals to, so 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50. So this is called a plain set. And so let me show here. S1 is equals to 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50. Print S1 and print type of S1. Control S, F5. So if you see when I executed this program, set displayed like this. What are the values which I gave? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. But in what fashion it has taken? If you see 40, 10, 50, 20, 30, zigzag jumble fashion. So basically that set does not follow indexing concept. So that is the reason you cannot able to say what is there in the first index position of set. So while I gave it is 10, but it took as like 40. So likewise it will keep on change dynamically, and its type is classes set. So that's how it is. Let me show the last one, dict. So let me explain what is dict. Dict stores elements in key value pairs. So it stores elements in key value pairs. It stores elements in key value pairs. So dict represents actually dictionary. Dict represents dictionary in Python. Dictionary in Python. Basically, dict represents dictionary. It contains what? It contains key value pairs. So what do you mean by key value pair? Let me show with an example. We represent dictionary with same square brackets. Okay, like this key value, but in brackets we put here in brackets we put key value pairs. Okay, so in square brackets we put key value, sorry, not square brackets, this is called flower brackets. Okay, so remember set and dictionary contains the same symbol, but Here is what individual elements will be there in set, but in dictionary we maintain key value pairs. So example, let me show. Let's say if it is D1, 1 colon ONE1, comma 2 colon TWO2, comma 3 colon THRE3. So this is a pure example of dictionary. So here if you see, we have key value, key value, key value. So total 3 key value pairs are in this dictionary. So each key value pair is called as item. Okay, there are 3 items are there in this dictionary. That is how we have to call. So let me show this in the program. D1 is equals to, let me write the same, 1 colon ONE1, comma 2 colon TWO2, comma 3 colon THRE3. Right, so print of D1 and print of type of D1, control S F5. So if you see my dictionary displayed and the type is saying class dict, that is what dict represents, a dictionary in Python. So this is what are all collection types, but actually we will go ahead and study every other collection type in depth in further sessions. So this is not over. Collection types are also called Python data structures. These are very, very important. Okay, so so this is all what we have studied as part of our first classification. And second classification, what shall we do is we will explore them in our next session. Thank you.